Nigeria descending into tyranny under your watch. Pastor Tunde Bakare blasts Atinubu. Pastor Tunde Bakare, the founder of the Citadel Global Community Church, expressed deep concern over Nigeria's escalating poverty and economic hardship in a recent State of the Nation address. The poverty no be here. The economic hardship, it is getting serious day by day. The insecurity, the killings, everything is going on. Everything is going on in Nigeria. Delivered at his church in Oregon, Lagos on Sunday, Bakare, a former presidential aspirant of the All Progressive Congress (APC), he criticized President Bola Tinubu's handling of both the nation's economic crisis and the ongoing political instability, particularly the situation in Rivers State. In his address, Bakare lamented the nation's plight, stating that the country's suffering goes beyond poverty and extends to a collective broken spirit. He observed that while many people of faith have fervently prayed for Nigeria, the situation seems to have deteriorated to a point where prayer alone no longer feels sufficient. Of course, our problem is not prayer. Our problem is something that if we have good leaders and they solve the problem and they are really doing well, prayers is not our answer. Of course, we are going to pray, but we know that prayer alone is not sufficient. We need to take actions. Bakare emphasized that unless pragmatic actions are taken, yes, the anger of the poor could lead to political, social, and economic unrest. Bakare urged the Nigerian government to reflect on the leadership example set by Pharaoh, as portrayed in the biblical story of Joseph in Genesis 41. According to Bakare, the Pharaoh demonstrated wisdom and humility when faced with an impending crisis, which led to Egypt's recovery and prosperity. He called on President Atinubu to emulate this approach by embracing humility, seeking wise counsel, and making decisions that would ensure Nigeria's recovery. And that was because somebody from Israel helped them. That's the case of when Egypt was going to enter into famine, and Joseph interpreted the dream and all of that. And he told them that this was what they are going to do to make sure that hunger doesn't finish them in the land. Okay. The pastor's address also decried the leadership's failure since January 2025. Bakare accused those in power of exacerbating the country's political and social crisis through authoritarian tendencies and the erosion of democratic institutions. Dear Nigerians, the past few months since that admonition in January, I have shown that those responsible for sharing the cause of our nation lack the humility and character this moment demands as leaders. Yes, so they don't have humility. They are not humble at all. They are so arrogant. All of them, they are so arrogant. Instead, what we have since the beginning of the year is a descent into tyranny and a brazen abuse of power. Yes, those entrusted with power appear determined to destabilize what is left of our political institution and have committed themselves to obliterating the guardrails of constitutional governance. He pointed to the governance in Rivers State, which he described as a political theatre controlled by Abuja, and criticized the National Assembly for supporting unconstitutional actions that undermine Nigeria's democratic framework. Highlighting the dysfunctional nature of the current leadership, Bakare decried a descent into tyranny and criticized the National Assembly for becoming a rubber stamp institution under President Tinubu's administration. He noted the stark contrast between the present legislature and past assemblies, which had once stood up against executive overreach. Bakare further lambasted recent developments in the Senate, specifically the mistreatment of Senator Natasha Otto-Ojoaghan, who faced attempts to silence her as she demanded greater accountability. Yes, so from the Senate president, they really want to silence her. That they even had to send gunmen to her house, thinking that she was around. Those people, they can do and undo. Bakare accused some senators of dragging the institutions through disgraceful behavior and failing to uphold the dignity of their office. In his speech, Bakare also took aim at the broader political culture in Nigeria, which he described as a form of motor park politics. Yes, motor park, acting like touts, perpetrated by veteran politicians and amplified under Tinubu's influence. He argued that under this style of policies, Nigeria's institutions has become tools of power consolidation rather than vehicles for effective governance. The pastor's critique extended to President Atinubu himself. He did touch everybody one by one. whom he accused of fostering a political environment where the National Assembly has become subservient to the executive. Yes, so they go Akpabio house to go and serve him tea. No be small thing. Bakare warned that the country's political system was at risk of transforming into a dictatorship, with the executive branch wielding unchecked power. We are already heading towards that direction. We are already there. Like, this is not democracy. We are in dictatorship. We are in North Korea as we are like this. We are heading there, and we are almost there. He urged the president to reconsider his approach, stating that no leader should be entrusted with unlimited power. He said it is clear that our so-called leaders are determined to turn Nigeria into a mafia state. The two main contenders in the ongoing institutional immorality are the executive and the legislature. Yes, it is often said that these two arms of government suffered the worst form of arrest and development because they were the direct victim of the era. But after 26 years of uninterrupted democracy, one must ask how much longer before our institutions finally mature. While it is not in dispute that our institutions and constitutions are inadequate, it has become obvious that our biggest problem in these nations are the occupiers of these institutions and executors of the constitution. Yes, the quality of leadership in Nigeria has become so repugnant that citizens must declare a state of emergency on governance. Yes, so if we can, we should. We need to declare a state of emergency in Nigeria as a whole, because the kind of leaders that we have, they are nothing to write home about. Demanding that every aspiring public office holder undergo rigorous psychiatric evaluation, very important, before seeking election. Bakare also delved into the country's economic challenges, particularly the president's handling of critical reforms, such as the removal of fuel subsidies and the devaluation of Naira. He expressed concern over the hardship these policies had inflicted on Nigerians, with soaring inflation, food insecurity, and a deepening economic crisis. The pastor highlighted the alarming spike in food prices, the fall in foreign direct investment, and the suffering of millions of Nigerians who found themselves trapped in a cost of living crisis. No be small. In conclusion, Bakare proposed a model for economic recovery based on the governance of Joseph in ancient Egypt, drawing parallels with Joseph's handling of an economic crisis through careful fiscal policies. Bakare suggested that Nigeria could learn from this approach by creating locally managed network of cities, industries, and reserves to weather economic downturn. He called for reimagining the nation's governance structure to ensure long-term stability and prosperity for all. Pastor Bakare's address was a call to action for Nigeria's leadership, urging a shift towards humility, accountability, and effective governance. Oh, God will help us. My listeners, over to leave your thoughts in the comment section. Don't forget to like, to share, and subscribe. See you some other time. Bye.